So, within these past 2 weeks' readings and videos and content, we've learned a lot about gender and how gender is in the field of science where the stereotypes lie, not only in regards to race but our gender as well. So, starting off in this unit, we talked about the Snow Braun article and seeing how she experienced not only racial inequality but gender inequality in the field of science, and how, smashing the patriarchy could lead to so many more variants in scientific truth. I think it's important to remember how it was noted in our lecture that our truths are kind of picked out by people, right? In the Fisher article, we see this as well. Our truths are picked out by people, what we want to study, what's important. The study of our anatomy can be completely biased, or the study of our emotions or our gendered experience can be completely biased by who's studying it, because everything that's kind of researched is thought up by someone. I like the example of when I say, maybe aliens are real, because everything that we think up, it has to come from somewhere, whether it's our stereotypes, our society, our culture. So that's what's happened a lot with gender. The question for this video being, how do we create equity, fairness in gender in the field of science? And a big part of one of our videos was talking about that, we've created an age where we celebrate our differences. We show how different we all are, and that is all fine, well, and dandy. But that does not mean we're creating inclusivity. That does not mean we are creating a society in which people are equally accepted. You can celebrate me for 10 minutes, but if you don't give me that job, or you don't respect me, or maybe when I'm in my laboratory, I've been working, and a younger, white man will walk in and he'll look at me just so confused on why I'm even there, right? It doesn't matter if you celebrate Mexican Independence Day or celebrate my culture. It matters how I'm treated. So that's not a solution, right? We can celebrate as much as we want, but that is not a solution. That is not going to create equity and fairness within our gender differences in science. It's a really complex, convoluted issue. How do we make people see others as equal? Education's a big thing. The way media markets us is a big thing. Talking about also in the Fisher article how media displays women, and science articles display women as weaker, and they purposely will put out the results that'll get their article more views because it's more interesting to people, because it fits in with the social constructs and stereotypes that they've been taught for their entire lives. So it's hard to navigate around that. I think a big first step is having a lot more women in STEM. We need support programs, mentorship programs. We need women to feel like they are not alone. I know, being one of the only undergraduate TAs for organic chemistry, it's intimidating for sure, because every single other TA is a PhD student. And on top of that, I'm one of the few females in that field. Our department is starting to have far more females, but it is still difficult to see females in science. So having, those pathways to make sure women get there, that they don't get discouraged, that they don't get, told that they're bad at math, and things like that. So we need a lot more equity also in the workforce, in hiring. We need women, to argue for those good salaries, and we need to instill that confidence in them to be able to do that. In our book, we read a lot about science and power, right? So how do women feel like they have the power? How do we give women the power back? How do we not let them fit into that kind of double bind of, oh, I have to be kind, but I also have to be brilliant, but if I want to be successful, I have to be bitchy, but I don't want to be bitchy, and it just turns into this convoluted double identity in which we just don't fit in because our stereotyped box is too tiny. So navigating that situation is extremely difficult. So not only do we have, the barriers of, the media, or maybe how our gender identity has been scientifically researched, but we also have bad hiring practices. We don't have enough women going into STEM because we do get discouraged, and we do fall, we don't fall behind, but we aren't allowed the opportunities and warranted the knowledge to be able to be successful, which can be really, really challenging. So overcoming these hurdles means, we need to support each other. We need to be that chain-linked fence that holds every single wire up, right? A big thing with women is we're kind of taught to tear each other down. Maybe that's not academically, but physically. We're taught to be competitive. We're taught we have to really work hard, to be the best. And not many women make it to the top, so it makes it hard for us to work together. And I think that's a stigma that needs to be diminished if we're ever going to make any strides. Modern science is from a long, long chain of men doing things and women also maybe being there and not getting any credit for it. We see that a lot with, scientific discoveries surrounding like Madame Curie and radiation, and it's interesting to see how those awards or those, even Nobel Prizes were probably supposed to go to women, but our voices weren't loud enough. And even to today, they're not. They're still not loud enough. We read a lot, or we watched the videos about and read about situated knowledges. So trying to understand, I have my own experience. It makes me my own certain way, and then thriving on that. Our intersections, our differences, our variances are what make us stronger, and they're what make us better. And we need to not only celebrate those, of course that's important, but we need to be confident in those, and we need to not let those not only become whitewashed, like in Snow Braun, but we need them to be recognized and respected. So that means a lot of education. I think in the scientific community we graze over social sciences, which we shouldn't. Scientists should be upheld to the standards of understanding social sciences, understanding variance in races, gender identity, sexual identity, because those things affect our research a lot. I know just working in a laboratory and teaching students, every single way that I teach someone has to differ because people have come from different backgrounds, whether it's been poor schooling, elite schooling, maybe they're super confident or they're super shy. So I have to be able to adapt to that. And so does our research and the way that we work with people and the way that we hire people. We need to instill in both women and men the fact that, women are going to be here and we might even be better than you at some things. And you're going to have to be okay with that. Hypermasculinity plays a huge role in the fact that women are diminished in science. So creating that gender equity is not impossible. Truly, it's not impossible, but it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot of support, a lot of alliance, a lot of allegiance between a lot of different organizations. Women for STEM, that's great, but we need men for women in STEM. We need men for Black and brown women in STEM. We need more variance in racial equity as well, because those things go hand in hand. I think I struggle a lot with the feminist movement because some people that speak for the feminist movement maybe don't fall into a variety of variant intersections. A white middle-class woman, it's easy for her to stand up to or support feminism. It's harder for maybe a Black woman of lower class. It's hard to see that equal representation even in feminism. So science is for sure a struggle. So I would say, if we are going to get equity, it needs to start, with alliances, allegiances. We need, mentorship programs for women. We need to start them young in understanding STEM and science. Working for science is fun right now at ASU. We go into schools and we inspire students to get interested in science, which is really, really important. But it needs to also be focused on women. How can we focus that on women? So focusing our education, on women, focusing our inspiration on women, making mentorship programs for women, creating maybe conferences where we teach women in STEM, how do you have your voice? How do you be more confident? How do you navigate that double bind between being a gentle woman with a kind heart and also being a badass scientist? There's a lot that needs to go into it, and it's a long haul, and it's going to take both men, women, and all people of all gender identities in order to get there. And it needs to parallel with racial equity as well. So that's my little 2 cents, and thank you so much.